Before coming to XIMB, I had a 4 year long experience at L&T Infotech. I worked there as an ERP consultant. Post joining XIMB, I was fortunate enough to get an internship at Optum, which is a United Healthcare Group company. United Healthcare Group is ranked seventh amongst the top Fortune 500 companies. My role there was that of a product management intern. The three things that I found is very interesting from Optum's perspective is each and every project that we get, that our interns get, are quite unique in nature. Secondly, the mentors that we get assigned to have a lot of subject knowledge on that particular thing. And when we are dealing with these kind of ambiguities and when we're first time delving into these kind of an industry, it gets very difficult. So they take the right methodology of how to prepare ourselves, not just in the internship months, but for us, it all started in the month of January itself with a small case study to basically understand the US healthcare sector. So, my learnings, if I would say from these 2 months, would be number one, the US healthcare sector is very complex. And understanding that sector had been a challenge, but now I feel proud to say that I know a lot about the US healthcare. Secondly, I was working in the RCM management group, which is basically a revenue cycle management team. The revenue cycle management team is actually the backbone of the entire process, right from the patient coming in to the patient being charged the bill for the uh, diseases that they have contracted. So basically, the entire backbone is something which I had understood. This is one of the greatest learnings, second greatest learning, and third is the PPT skills. MBA isn't complete without PPT skills, good PPT skills. When it comes to the contributions, I would say that almost 80% of my time, if I spend a total of around 10 hours, 80%, 8 hours of my time would be on understanding, would be on research about that particular industry, which is the RCM industry, and then probably figuring out what best can be a possible solution for Optum, considering the challenges which we have. So, as my contributions involved, so I basically was tasked to suggest improvements in the RCM process that they have. Probably this would have required me to, get into an understanding of what are the technical aspects of things which other companies are doing, what are the things that we can incorporate, what are the disruptions that we can possibly see in the near future, and then probably suggest changes to the processes that we are doing and come out with a better solution. Well, the journey initially began with the interviews. Okay, so professors, I mean, every subject knowledge is very important. You take economics, you take finance, you take marketing, each and you get asked each and every questions based on all these sectors. So you need to have a great understanding, and XIMB, the pedagogy at XIMB is such that you get a good understanding of these things in the very initial few months. So this has been one of the very, I would say, one of the most important things for me to crack this particular internship. That is point number one. And secondly, since we have a lot of submissions on presentations and everything, we were already doing a lot of presentation stuffs, PPT making stuffs. So that did really help me in these 2 months of my internship. As I mentioned, I was working as an ERP consultant for nearly 4 years at L&T Infotech. So the thing with ERP is that it's entire it's an entire process. So you need to know the entire process to be able to suggest changes and improvements in the entire process line. For me, what has happened is I got a project which had to deal with an entire cycle of events, which is similar to what I had done in my work. So this the understanding that I had got in my job in these 4 years was actually to be persistent, to have a viewpoint which is quite open when it comes to each and every processes. It's not that you're handling one process, the other process would take care of itself. It's nothing like that. If you're handling one process, you have to handle the other process with the same integrity. So I think these small factors did play a very important role when I now think about it. Uh, and I think this indeed did help to come out with a great outcome at the end of 2 months. I never expected this to be such a research heavy internship. Usually for me, it was like, I would be given a task and I would be asked to follow certain guidelines, protocols, and just worked upon it. But it was nothing like that. I had to read, I had to think, and then I had to execute. So the major challenge came here because this was something that I did not anticipate at the very first place. So, these kind of small things that uh, were required actually pushed me to develop these skills and incorporate it in my final presentations, which fortunately came out good. But now that I look back and I think, I mean, these small instances of, pushing yourself to, yes, you can do it. Let's take the next step. This is something which we can do now, thinking about all these things, these kind of small things really did help push the entire thing forward. I would say three things. First, you should be thorough with your subjects because that's the first thing that they would basically gauge you upon. Uh, Subjects, if I say every subject that you possibly come across from the first year, finance, marketing, a bit of economics. So you need to be well read about, every topic that are important. And secondly, is to have a very clear bend of mind. Whenever you're proposing a solution or whenever you're trying to give them an understanding about how to go about things, you should be clear in your mind when you're really producing that particular answer to that analyst, right? And it's not just the interview, it's the entire process. I mean, in these 2 months, what I thought was, if I would have been a person where my thought processes, where my understandings were a bit uh, hazy, I would say, it would have been very difficult. You get yourself to the point that you are thinking clearly about that particular point, and then you put it forward. This actually helped me, and this is exactly what they're looking at. This particular project demanded me to understand marketing in a way that I did not think this could be, worked upon in this particular manner, because what we understand in marketing are different frameworks and we try to apply these frameworks. This particular project actually challenged me to take on a particular framework, try to break it down and make a new framework out of it, probably not to an extent that this can be copied by any other project, but it's unique to that particular project. And similarly, a bit of finance knowledge was also required for this particular project, because if I was in the revenue cycle management, so you need to understand what are the balances when you're handling a patient's account. So I mean, you don't need to really know a lot, but small things from all domains is certainly what they expect. And when you're applying these concepts there, I mean, the outcome would definitely be a good one. Yeah, to be honest, we had a work from home thing, so we really could not explore. I mean, what the culture would have been. I mean, we really did want to understand the culture there. People say that it's a very unique culture in this organization. Unfortunately, we could not. But what I did get an understanding of was that every person is committed to their task. You need to complete each and every assignment. uh, I mean, take your own deadline, but make sure you stick to that particular deadline, and that is precisely what each and every employee of that particular organization does. And probably this is one of the best thing I've imbibed in these 2 years: sticking to deadlines and making sure that you complete all your tasks before deadlines, and making sure that whatever you are promising, you get that thing delivered. Not a lot of advices, but I would generally give three advices. The first would be that uh, do not, whenever you're doing a thing, do not think that it would be a failure at the end. We all know that there are certain uncertainties in that particular thing because you're doing it for the first time. But whenever you're doing, make sure you're enjoying that particular work. Don't have this hesitation that it might come out wrong. My manager might not like it. Just go for it. Just do it to see the outcome, right? Secondly, the final result. Don't get disappointed by the final result if that's not being appreciated, right? The work of the manager is, you know, to push you that extra mile. Don't get dissuaded by comments coming in that this is not good. Push yourself to the extra limit. That will probably mean that you're doing your work well. And don't get bogged down at any point in time. Think that you're doing this and you're enjoying this because at the end, that's what matters. Thirdly, most important, the presentation skills and your Excel skills. These are two of the most important skills that you can possibly imbibe. The faster you imbibe these two skills, the better it is for you.
I hail from Bhubaneswar itself, but my entire education has happened pan India because my father was into a sales job. And then finally I came back to Odisha to pursue my MBA here in XIMB. Then my role I got my internship in Becton Dickinson India Private Limited. My role here was basically of a sales marketing kind of a role, but due to pandemic it got into more kind of a market research type of a role, which was basically because we had to do it work from home. So that is why the role kind of shifted from a sales stint to a market research stint. First of all, what I would think is I thought project mattered a lot in any kind of a role that you go in. But after going into this particular internship, I realized how much the work culture matters. In BD, the work culture was so holistically embracing that it was so welcoming to everybody. I realized not only the kind of project that they give you, but the type of people you work with, that matters a lot. Because this stint happened from work from home, we were with everybody in a virtual mode. We had a lot of meetings online and we had a lot of phone calls and teleconferencing things happening around. So in there also you realize how welcoming and how warm are these people to let you into a project that wherein you will grow. They give you a project that has an impact for a future 2 3 years kind of a role. They will understand your perspective, that what do you want to do. Like for me it happened in that way. They asked me that what are my likes and dislikes and what kind of role do I want, even for a work from home stint. So the major part was that I learned that the kind of project that is given, that should be determined upon the person that is actually going to do it. Then second thing is the teamwork, the team spirit, that matters a lot whenever you go into corporate or even in your MBA career. Teamwork is the most important here. So yeah, these are two basic learnings and the very important ones that I learned in my 2 months stint. XIMB prepares you in an overall way. The two major things is that the first thing, that they will make you technically very sound, that you have subject and domain knowledge about a particular stream a lot. In first year in XIMB, we see the curriculum is rigorous and they make sure that we learn about each and every stream in a more efficient way. And the second thing, that how XIMB prepares a student is, I feel that they will make you very sound in a soft skill communication way. Like they will make sure, because we have a lot of presentations and we have a lot of experiential ways to present our projects and very on the field hands-on projects that we have in our college. I think they will make you very corporate ready for any kind of a task. so that you have your technical background, you have your knowledge about what to do. And the second thing, that you know how to go about dealing with people in real life, so that you can handle any kind of situation in a corporate world. I was a fresher. I completed my BCom in 2019 and directly got a call from XIMB. So I joined my MBA journey. Earlier, I used to think, before joining BD, I used to think that WorkX people would have some kind of advantage because they have experience, they know how to deal in corporate, they know what kind of presentations you have to make, they know how to deal with people and people who are at leadership roles. But when I joined BD, I realized that if you are a WorkX, if you are not a WorkX for a fresher, it does not matter much, because both of you, all the candidates, are new to that particular company. So you are fresher to them in any case. Like I said, that XIMB prepares you for each and every role that you go into. Though it was a sales and marketing role that I got in here, but I was put into the marketing for a distribution side. So I had to understand my operations and supply chain very well. So what happened there, that when I had to talk to a lot of distributors that the company had, you had to improvise according to the situation, because you're covering pan India. So because it was a benefit that I had lived in places like Gujarat and Maharashtra. I know a little bit language. So now I had to talk at that place. The distributors were not comfortable in talking in Hindi or in English particularly. So I was like, I need information. So how do I get information out from these people then? Because they are not willing to share, and they think because it's a new person, they're calling from head office, they're not willing to give any details. So that time, the language barrier, to overcome that language barrier, the Gujarati and Marathi language that I had learned in my childhood, that helped a lot. So that is one thing that was beneficial to me. Then there are many cases, because you have to be like on your toes, because the project is that way, and because the time, it does not matter if you have a 1 month or a 2 month or a year stint, everything is on your toes. Something needs to be done that day itself. So it happens, a lot of things, a lot of spontaneous instances happen. I think it is mostly in terms of your learning ability and agility, how fast you can learn and how well you can retain it. Of course, they know that they are taking students who are not professionals, who do not know their company, who do not know medical terms at all. So they understand that. But they need people who are, you say, if they teach you something about a particular product, about their company, you need to quickly absorb it and you need to apply it into practical instances. They will not require people who are highly intellectual, but the people who are ready to learn, who are ready to explore into new patterns. They would want people who are agile, who can move around, who can maneuver their decisions, who are open to exploring new things, and they're open to learning most of all. Yes, absolutely it does. That is why exam in first year also prepares us for a cross domain kind of internship, because as we know that no company or no venture is independent in its roles. All the functions, all the domains in a particular corporation are intertwined. And because you go into marketing, you cannot assume that you will not have to deal with finances, because there is the price of a product, there is the price that your distributors are quoting. And you do not think that, I never thought that I would be dealing with the supply chain part in my internship, but I got to do that. And to understand how marketing works in a supply chain operations domain, that was very new for me. So yes, it matters that you know the terms, you know what happens in that particular domain, you know how one domain affects the another domain, and how they all gel up together to make one corporation, because no function is independent. So yeah, it helps a lot. So, first of all, I would like to say that it was my dream to get into a healthcare firm because my father, as I said, he was into sales, but he was also in a pharmaceutical company. So I had seen him work in healthcare. Healthcare is not only about doing business or earning profits, it's more about helping your end consumers, for the patients. Like your medicines will go to them, your medical devices, your syringes will be used on them. So in turn, while doing a business, you're actually helping the society. So that was my main reason to get into healthcare. I was fortunate enough to get into a company, a leading company in healthcare, that was BD. And the work culture in BD, as I said earlier, is amazing. It is so harmonious, it is so welcoming. At the end of the day, like even if you were on a call for like 7 hours a day continuously because you're talking, you're doing research, in the end you get in call with your mentors, they will fuel in the spirit that you have to work harder, you have to work more because you're trying to do something for the people and not just for the business. So they will make sure the people are such positive people around there. They're so, what do I say, warm, and they will let you know, they will ask you things, they will inculcate a spirit of learning in you, that you will always be willing. At the end of the day, you will also be willing that I'll learn something more and then I'll see, I'll finish this work, and then you're always motivated to work more and more. So that is the culture there. The only advice that I can give is explore your journey. Don't restrict yourself because they say it's a sales or a marketing profile. You will get to learn a lot in this company. And always remember that even if you feel that you would do better in some other domain or in some other company or in some other kind of a field, always try to experience what do you have in your plate. The healthcare domain is kind of tricky. You may think that you do not know the terms, it's very medical in nature, it's very doctory, you do not want to do that, but I will tell you, it is the most amazing experience that you can have. So just let yourself free. Just try to go in the flow and absorb what is happening around you. So that's how you will know that if you actually like it or you don't like it. So do your work with full utmost sincerity. Do make sure that you understand what they expect out of you. Keep asking questions, keep learning. So that's where the whole journey will become enjoyable in the end.
Hello everyone, my name is Shubhra Agrawal. I have a commerce background. I studied at St. Xavier's College, Calcutta. I did my BCom honors from there. And at XIMB, I am a major in marketing and I have a minor in operations. Apart from academics, I play the basketball and I love to play the drums. I've been into music since a very long time, and that's what keeps me away from work. My role at BSc was to create a go-to marketing strategy in a digital form and in a direct to patient model. That is, BSc had to communicate directly to the patients, and it was on the three therapies that they have. One was for erectile dysfunction, second was for severe asthma, that is bronchial thermoplasty that they have, and the third was for Parkinson's disease, that is a deep breath simulation. I had to create a model in which we could create awareness around. My first topic was erectile dysfunction, so create awareness around um, erectile dysfunction and break the social taboo and actually bring conversations out to the table and encourage them to go to the right specialty, that is an andrologist, and not fall prey to quacks or sexologists or general physicians. So actually, my internship lasted only a month because of COVID. It got shortened, but on the bright side, I'm still with BSc and I'm doing a live project with them. So my contribution has been far beyond a month. In that 1 month, in fact, I created the strategy for the marketing project. But in the live project tenure, that is after the month till now, I have been executing that project. And our first launch of the microsite is going to happen just in a few days. The biggest learning that I got at BSc was from my mentor, who is Bhavna Sapra, who is the head of strategy, distribution and special projects. I got so much to learn from her, not only from the way she works, but the kind of things that you should focus on in your project. Learning directly from the senior leadership team really gave me a chance to improve my skills. There were so many corporate presentations that I had to give, and that made me realize the importance of communication and knowing priorities of what to communicate and what not. Given you just have, say, 15 minutes or 20 minutes to talk about your entire presentation or project work. So that is something that I really learned. Also, time management is something that obviously, doing a live project along with my curriculum is something that I took away. My project also involved a lot of research, be it talking to doctors or to patients, people across the globe. I think all of it made me realize the importance of primary research and also secondary to make any marketing plan. So XIMB has helped me in this internship in more than one ways. It has given me the soft skills of time management, given the rigor of the first year, so many projects, assignments, classworks, everything to do together. And all of this has helped me balance out my academics with my internship and life project very well. It has also made me realize the importance and ability to work in a team. And that was very much required in my project. And last but not the least, I think the domain knowledge of marketing that I got from XIMB and its first year of teaching really helped me do my internship well. In fact, I'm a fresher, and I would say I'm neutral. I do not think I faced a lot of challenges being a fresher in a company, because the firm was very welcoming, and they knew that I'm a fresher and made sure that they took care of me that way and guided me throughout. The only thing is that once it was online, I do not understand. I would not understand at the beginning the dynamics of corporate world. It's always easier when you go and understand those things, but in online it was a little tough. But in a week's time, I was able to adjust well, and I think I made the most of it, even being a fresher. And in fact, it was a great experience, and I'm glad to be a fresher while working at BSc, because it was a very good first time experience. So the medtech industry is one where there are a lot of regulatory issues and rules and regulations, and doing a marketing project in that particular field is challenging in itself. We have to think of newer ways to fit in to that regulations and still be able to communicate well. I think that is something that I managed to put across in my strategy, and that was something that pushed my boundaries and enabled me to think outside of the box and contribute accordingly. At BSc, I think number one is your due diligence, because without that, you would not be able to do your deliverables properly. And at the end of the day, what matters at BSc is the work that you put in. So your hard work, your diligence is very important. You should be passionate about your work. Apart from that, I think team skills is something that they really value, and you have to work across domains in BSc for your projects, and there's a lot of communication that happens within the company. So having those skills of communication and also team building will give your way through your internship really well at BSc. Yes. So cross-domain knowledge is actually important at BSc, but it also depends on your project. My project was on marketing, but I still needed a little bit of an idea on financials because, again, if you create a strategy, you need to know what are the financials that go behind it and what is your budget and allocate them accordingly. So basics, and I also had to know a little about IT because I was getting a microsite built. So basics of all the domains will really help you in any project. So know that, and I think we will be good to go. So I was interning at BSc at a time where the world was hit under a COVID crisis, and working in a healthcare sector then made you realize how much value it gives to you when you're working for the lives of other people and to make a healthy living for the people around you. And I think that was the biggest motivation for me. And I really enjoyed working in this sector given the times and also the circumstances. Like I mentioned, it's a little challenging to put out a marketing project, but in the healthcare sector, I think that is what really helped me bring out my true potential and give my best work out there. The work culture at BSc is something that I really admire. And even if it was an online mode, I could actually sense how much they care for the people around them, be it employees or the lives of patients that they're trying to improve through their business. But knowing that the company is always there for you despite any challenge you would face, be it in terms of your work or your personal crisis, I think all in all, it gave me a really good experience. The people at the top, the LT team was especially very supportive, and they are at such a senior position, but yet they were so enthusiastic in communicating with us interns, and they always wanted to help us out. Um, they are really approachable, and I would in fact love to talk to all of them, and I would set up different calls and do meetings with them just to understand a few things about their domain. And that is something that I really like about the company, that you can actually go directly to the senior management and talk to them about anything that you want to learn. One piece of advice that I would want to give to all the interns that would, intern at Boston Scientific is that just be yourself. All that you need to do is show your passion towards your work, show that you are capable, and do your best, and the results will just follow. What they really value is your diligence in the project, because the projects that they give to interns is not something that they would just want to push aside into the cupboards of years and years of filing, but they really want to use your project. And if you give them something that they can use, um, and in the process you take back from the company in your learning, I think the two-way relation that you can build with them is something that will benefit both of you. Another thing is that you should always try and build connections and relations inside the firm, given that it is a very open firm and everybody loves to talk to everybody. It's a very good way of building relations, even if it is online. It's best to just set up some time and talk to your leaders, try to understand more. Building relations and networking is very important in your internship.